Hi, welcome to another episode of Family Dynamics with the K with the Killmonds. Hi, it's Liz.
It's Katherine.
And Ed.
And John.
So the four of us are all back together.
Woohoo! Yay.
Ed, you were not here the last episode.
What?
Yeah, where were you?
I wasn't here? Oh,
You were totally not
sorry.
here.
John likes to go to the movies all the time on our other podcast. I still go out and see live performances and bands, and this weekend was EDC. So I went out to this mega concert.
You can't just say EDC.
Electric Daisy Carnival. It's
Thank you.
3-day
I thought Daisy was
festival.
dance. So that's why you have to explain it.
It feels like it should be more closely related to EDM, but because
What's EDM?
electronic dance music, that's where you get your dance from, right?
Right. I'm just saying, for those that do not know these acronyms, you have to
It's
explain
like
them.
rock.
good.
It's like rock and roll. Rock and roll is way too general of a topic if
Right.
you're going to a Coachella. Well, yeah, there's a lot more going
Did you
on
say
at a Coachella. Yeah,
I think it's Coachella, isn't
Coachella, whatever.
I like the Coachella.
it? That sounds like a good drink.
It sounds like
doesn't
a Target versus a Target.
Possibly. It's also, not necessarily exactly how you see it being pronounced. Like Ventura and Topanga probably shouldn't be pronounced that way because they're a lot
geez.
closer
Okay,
to some other, ethnicity.
Well, that's like
Anyway,
rodeo versus rodeo.
So it was in, no, I don't have anything. Milwaukee or Milwaukee, as we all learned.
Okay, let's stop.
So you were
back
at EDC.
to the Electric Daisy Carnival.
Yes.
And carnival meaning there's legitimately
Carnival.
actual Ferris wheels and
wow.
rides and carnival food. And they had food trucks everywhere, which is kind of more the vibe of a carnival nowadays anyways.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a 6-minute fireworks show at 1:00 in the morning every night. It is a lot of fun
Where
to
is
go
that
to.
held?
It's at the Vegas Speedway, which is about 20 miles outside
What?
of Vegas. So you go to Vegas, and then you go to Fremont Street, which is way outside of the Strip, and then there's 20 miles past that is where the Speedway is, so that they can be as loud as they possibly want and not, bother actually.
But do you
any of
stay
the
in a
Strip.
hotel?
Yeah, I stayed in a hotel, for the 4 or 5 hours that I got back during the daytime where I was I need to take a break.
During the daytime? Wait, what?
Well, it's an overnight concert, so it's all during
all night?
the night so that they can do all sorts of laser lights and stage effects and pyrotechnics. And the best time to see all of that is in the dark. So it's from about 7 p.m. until 7 a.m.
Wowza.
I didn't make it that late because I'm old and my ride was leaving. And if you got a ride back, you take the ride. You don't want to be paying $100 for an Uber. And it takes an hour and a half because everybody's leaving. So yeah, I left at 3:30 or 4 o'clock in the morning. At which point, you get into your room, it's 5 a.m. and you're like, oh, is that my ears? Oh, okay. Well, maybe I can't sleep just yet.
No.
But no, I actually wore earplugs the entire
that's
weekend.
smart.
Which
I
have
gotten
those.
old.
Well,
But that's
it protects
smart.
your
For
ears
sure.
in these events, and it allows you to get closer to the stage and see things a little bit better. But part of the issue with the earplugs that I have is it gets a little bit muffled, as one normally does, and you want to be able to hear all the different parts of the song. And so sometimes it works better if you just touch them. It grounds or it takes a lot of the reverberation out of it. Mm-hmm. So then it really is just dampening the entire sound. Man, 4 or 5 people came up and tried to offer me additional earphones. They're like, dude, don't, it's your arms are going to be so tired later. Just go over to the concierge and they'll give you a headset. I'm like, no, this is helping my actual $50 ones that are in my ear already. Mm-hmm. I'm just old. I'm sorry that I look like I'm young and don't know what I'm doing, just jamming my fingers in my ear. No.
Oh my God.
People are very concerned, for you. They're looking out for you. It's nice.
Man, you're going to get a massive ear infection.
Oh, man. Are your ears bothering you? Yeah, because I already have earplugs in, and it's still crazy freaking loud.
Now, is it mostly DJs or what is playing the electric music?
Between all of the different stages, so there's 6 main stages that are huge. They're not even a stage that you would normally there's a DJ on a stage. This is 100-foot wide stage with an entire screen behind it, so they have giant visual effects, and there's maybe 15,000 people in front of each one of these stages.
Yikes.
There's a
Wait
lot
a
of
minute.
people. There's 100,000+ people walking around the Las Vegas Speedway.
That's crazy. And these all are going simultaneously.
Yeah, and weirdly, because the Speedway's big enough to have race cars drive around it and be entertaining, and it's not a small track, it's really massive on the inside. So these stages are set up and put up in a way that their sound doesn't interfere with each other if you're in front of the stage. However, if you're going between stages, like, that was great, I saw enough of that act, I want to go over and see this other act on the other side of the speedway, I gotta walk. Every single time I'm leaving my headset in, or my earplugs in, because there's a point at which the sound waves from both stages just have like this bass bubble that you can't hear anything, and it's just the bass from each stage. You're like, yeah, that's why I'm leaving that one, because it was too loud. And this one seems like it's also loud, but I'm just in that weird little bass bubble right now.
It's probably really smart because in Vegas, I mean, depending on the year, it can be very hot.
Yeah,
so I've gone
a couple years, and they've actually moved it around. Like last year, they had it twice. They had it in May again, like they did this year. But they also had it in October, because last year May was not as temperate as this year. It was like in the 100 degrees, and it was 90 degrees at midnight, and windy, and some of the stages had to be closed down because it was so windy. So they try to time it out, but Mother Earth has... She'd be having her own party.
Yeah.
But you had good weather and all that this year?
Yeah, it was really nice. It was like just cool enough that if you brought something by the time the sun was coming up, you actually did want to put a little jacket on or something like that.
Is it always in Vegas?
They're all over the planet, actually.
Oh, okay.
They have Electric Daisy Carnivals in Mexico, in Japan, all over Europe. It's not always as big as this. I think this might be the most number of stages for the most number of days. I think even Orlando is only a 2-day.
Orlando.
Maybe it's 3. I don't know. But it's always weird, like, why is that city not doing a Sunday night? Oh, because they're in the south of America, so they can't sell alcohol on Sunday. So that's a wrap. We're not doing a concert on Sunday.
Oh. Wait, how many have you been to?
I've only been to, like, 4, but they're all in Vegas, and it's over, like, the last 5 or 6 years.
Got it.
Do people dress up? Because I think of Burning Man and all that vibe where people go crazy with their costumes. And Coachella has its own vibe, but it's not necessarily costumey like Burning Man.
Yeah, this is like a cosplay event, except everyone's dressed up like they belong on stage as one of the dancers. Guys, girls, everybody. And it's also very LGBTQ plus friendly. The plur vibe, peace, love, unity, and respect. That's like synonymous with that.
That's why everybody's worried about your ears.
Yeah. Exactly. So people really are genuinely
like
concerned,
that.
which is very nice.
Did you dress up?
I think I just wore like the brightest neon running clothes that I had.
That's
and I think
smart.
I had like one cool from one previous event that I did. Like it's like a cosmic print. So
God,
yeah,
I
got like a compliment. Oh, that was cool. I'm like, yeah. I can't believe you can see right now, but yeah, it does look cool.
I don't know. As a family, concerts were not... I remember James going to a B-52s concert, and I was
really? I
really
don't remember
impressed.
that. Yeah,
And then I think with my sticky...
James, not William?
James. William was much...
William is a big fan of B-52s.
Well, he was much more of a music person.
And would go to concerts, and that was more regular. And also because...
And he was a musician, too.
Right. And because he lived away during the high school years, we weren't always attuned to what he was doing. Mm-hmm. So I think he would go into Hollywood, and concerts, big and small, were much more part of his lifestyle.
Yeah, I think the only real concert I ever went to was with William at the Hollywood Bowl. We went and saw the Thompson Twins.
I totally remember that, being so jealous.
That was pretty much it for me, though. I'm not a
What?
I'm not a live music person. I'm not really even a music person, which is weird. I mean, I know a lot of music, but I don't really listen to it, whatever. And that was pretty much it. Oh, no, that's not true. There was a teeny bit of concerts. I don't know. This is going to be so weird, but Magic Mountain used to do concerts.
Sure.
And so we would occasionally go with William. Again, it was William and his friend Dominic, who lived kind of... Or maybe,
I feel like maybe Valencia.
Or Moore Park, but he was very keyed in with Magic Mountain.
The Magic Mountain concert series?
Right.
Okay.
So we went to at least 2 or 3 where it was like, I don't even remember what they were, but,
probably very
so-and-so's at Magic Mountain.
English
so
New Wave, because that was their vibe. Oh, that's interesting.
Ska.
And that was pretty much it. I mean, I think I've been to the Hollywood Bowl a couple times for other things.
Please, I've taken you, but that's the Harry Potter movie.
I know, it doesn't
that does not count.
I mean, I'm not the...
Even though live music is accompanying the score.
Sorry.
not- yeah.
I'm thinking about both of those venues that you just mentioned that you went to with William. It doesn't feel like you'd be able to bring your own boombox in there. And now that I'm thinking about it, it breaks my brain to imagine William traveling to Europe with the boombox that he bought.
He did?
But he 100% did, because he totally recorded 5 or 6 concerts that he went to when he went to Europe.
Oh my God,
He
I
did
didn't
like
know this at all.
bootleg recordings of wherever he got the ticket of like U2. I've listened to a couple of them. They're almost unrecognizable because they're so far away. And he doesn't talk in them at all, which is like, that's the gem that you were looking for in these, is like him singing along or something.
No.
Or someone kind of commentary or
No,
something.
he's like, no, for posterity, I'm going to be super quiet right next to my recording so
wow.
that I get a good recording.
my God.
But I'm pretty sure I still have those tapes.
Boombox?
I think it was big. It was the one that was in your bathroom for
So
like.
you can't sneak it in.
That's what I'm saying. Wherever he was doing this, it was like, no, we're doing bootlegs over in this spot.
Do you think he would be hanging outside the gates?
It's possible.
Oh, really? Like not even
Like he didn't get the
inside?
tickets. He went on a free European concert tour.
Just I'll be as close as I can.
I feel like
At the fence.
I remember hearing about that. And the B-52s was a James concert because I was very jealous, because the B-52s were cool. And like we did not think James was cool. So I was like, how is he going to this concert? And then somehow or another, he got a B-52s t-shirt with their signatures on it.
What? Oh, wow.
And then he was never going to wear it. And I'm like, well, I want it. And either I just took it without permission at a certain point or prosperity. I think I still have it somewhere. I got to dig that up and see if I still have
I
it.
think you have a lot of stuff still.
I do. I got to get in my treasure chest in my garage and see what I still have there. The first concert I ever went to, I distinctly remember, because I think our parents did bring us to some live music, but
Did? What? No.
but it would have been like classical. It wouldn't have been like
Yeah, or like, a Christmas play where it feels
Right.
like a concert because you're going to go, or Annie.
What are you remembering?
Oh my God,
Yeah,
I
musicals.
just remembered the Christmas play that they took us to, the like light opera. Mother, there's a king at the
Ahmad
door.
and
What the hell was that?
What is it? Ahmad and the Night Viz?
The
No.
Night Visitor.
Is it?
I think it, or is it a?
This is not music related.
Well,
what are you
it
talking about?
is.
Musical is totally concerts.
Well,
No, it's not. I mean, I hate to out myself, but I also don't really like live performance plays. I get so uncomfortable. I feel like something's going to go wrong and I don't like it. It's too nerve wracking for me. So,
You're just waiting for the NPR fiasco story to happen live.
yeah, so live is not my vibe. I get too nervous.
I was definitely going inside the concerts back in the day. Not back in the day, like 20 years ago. I would be taking in a mini disc recorder with a lapel mic to go record.
What?
I don't even have a way to play any of them back, and none of them were good
What are you
recordings.
talking about?
I was like going to see, cool electronic, emotional, style bands like Air, the French band.
What?
And sneaking into the concert with a recorder in my pocket.
You were making bootleg recording.
For myself.
Oh
to
my
listen to
God.
again later. And they never sounded good, so that worked out great.
so it was a mall and the Night Visitor,
Oh, there you go.
which is about the three kings. Basically
Visit. Well, it was a Jesus-related
Yeah, they
thing.
needed
That makes
someplace to
sense.
stay on their way to visit Jesus. And Mom had not warned us it was an opera.
Oh, yeah,
so we
we
were all
were.
very excited. Put on our maybe Sunday's best, and we went. And it, it was one of those moments. They're singing every line and word, and all of us kids
We're
turn
not
to each
that
other.
into
and
it,
we're,
yeah.
what is this?
This
It was
is
like,
weird.
Mother, there's a king at the door. I don't want to answer the door. Mother, please get the door. Why is there a king at the door? We're like, why are we here?
The good news is we did not torture our parent for the
for
until
the
now
rest of their lives.
about that experience. We've
We totally
received
have.
VHS copies of that movie occasionally over the years. There's
I think we
definitely
all
a
sat down and
DVD.
watched the DVD.
Yeah.
Someone found the DVD, and it was like 10 or 15 years ago. We all put it in around
Oh my
Christmas
God,
to watch
hilarious.
it. And it really was like, wow, I don't think we can get through this. My first concert in memory, or is it on memory?
In memory.
John, don't give me that look. Is it in or on? He's like, I don't know.
It's in.
It's Lizzieisms. I gotta just correct me.
I think you're in memory or on record is what you're thinking of. And you smashed them
Okay,
together.
so-
Per usual, a good smash up by Liz.
Then
Oh, a
here's
good
the-
Liz
there
smash
it
up.
is. So both in memory and on record as my first concert that I really can take in is, and it relates to your earplugs. I went to, this is a real throwback for you, raised in the San Fernando Valley. Heather McDonald, my best friend, her older brother Jim, had a heavy metal band, and it was called Stone Soldier.
Now, I remember this
they
now.
Really,
I mean, that you went.
They
not that I
really
went.
should have
Yeah.
like made it. We were in the 7th or 8th grade, and they were playing at a club.
The Troubadour?
No,
okay.
on Reseda Boulevard, Deep Valley. I just can't remember exactly where. No, it might have been even Deep Valley, Sherman Way, and Reseda, something like that.
Super deep.
Yeah, well, just for a kid my age,
Well, wait,
it didn't
so
go
the
that
Troubadour,
area.
is that Hollywood? So that's too
yeah.
fancy.
Yeah, no,
or
no,
too
no.
like in the scene or
Right.
whatever. Okay.
This was called the Country Club, and it was not
a country
it was
club.
Neither. That was a club.
There was no golf course.
Right. And, I really think in Boogie Nights, it was actually portrayed in it. So it was that part of the valley. So, and I thought, oh my gosh, I was so excited. Like a concert, we like dressed up. I think we had braces. Like, I mean, we just.
Wait, how old did you say you were?
I think
like
we were 7th or 8th grade.
Oh my
We were
God,
not
amazing.
in high school.
And it's not the spot that like recently in the last 10 years the Foo Fighters had played at, and that was in like where the band played in not The Office, the Parks and Rec. The band, they like
Oh, I
go
don't
to a spot in Tarzana on Reseda.
I don't think so. No,
Yeah,
I don't.
okay.
I don't think this place exists anymore. And we'll get back to the Foo Fighters because that was the last live concert I actually went to.
Oh, wow.
So we get to go. We're dressed up. We have braces. We're trying to look cool. But the reality is, we are dorky, but Heather and I are very excited because she really hadn't gotten to see her brother play all that often. But this was a club that was 18 and under. So because we were going with parents, or we sat with Bob and Pam McDonald, Heather's mom, passed me cotton to shove in my ears because she's like, he's really loud, and I'm like,
wow.
oh really? And he's heavy metal. And it really was shocking. I mean, like, as a first concert, I was like, well, I don't think I like this type of music. Because you're watching obviously, we were sitting further back. Because it was one of those clubs that in front of the stage, there was a big open area where you could stand, mosh pit or whatever, they, run up against each other. And then further back, there were booths that you could sit at. So and that's where we were. And I think there was an upper level as well. And so we would have gotten squashed. I mean, Heather and I were not that big. And, it was so loud, and they had huge speakers, and just the guitar and the long hair. It was a kind of Hesher. Remember that phrase?
Oh, yeah.
Or Thrasher.
It was like, oh my gosh. I mean, it was just, it was one of those things where you walk out and like, Jim's like, thanks for coming. He's just so big and the long hair, but he had his entourage there. They're all cool. They look straight out of like a freaking 80s movie, The girls were like in leather minis and bikini tops. I mean, Heather and I like, hi guys. You guys are really good.
For reference, it finally surfaced. It's called Paladinos on Reseda.
Oh.
And that is 100% been there for like 30 years.
Yeah, it definitely was
Maybe not 50 years.
Yeah, it was not Paladinos. I mean, I could be incorrect. It was called Country Club, but I'm pretty sure it's what it was. But also back then, the rock scene was really big all over San Fernando Valley into Hollywood. So there were quite a few places like this. So yeah, I mean, I had the earplug in, but it was old school cotton. And I think we walked out and it was like our ears were still like pulsating. I remember thinking, I might have just damaged my very young eardrums. So that is my first concert on record, but I have seen a lot of live music. My independent one where it was sort of like, bye, mom and dad, I've been gone for the day. We're leaving so early. And we'll be back later. Was Wham. Also with Heather McDonald.
Wham.
Wake me up before you go.
Sure.
And so
We sang that like 8 or 9 times in a row for you.
Probably.
Sweet.
And, full circle, Ed, you were wearing your neon Dayglow. We for sure had to wear neon Dayglow.
Oh, yeah. That was the era for sure.
Like
yeah.
anything that was really bright. And then I've seen not all, U2, Madonna, these are acts I've seen multiple times, Elton
Didn't you see
John.
Kanye West semi recently?
Oh, well, that's because who I worked with. For years, I was creative director with the Kardashian Jenners, Kendall and Kylie. He was part of the family then. And yes, I think I've seen him perform live 3 times.
Oh, wow. I just remember you describing him on that most recent one where he was on like a floating platform thing.
Yeah, we were in Madison Square Garden and he was launching his tour from there. And it was that concept where he was on a raised platform above everybody that sort of floated above the crowd, which, halfway through I thought, well, there's no bathroom breaks. I don't even think I've seen sip water, and there's no interaction with anybody else. So that element was odd, but he was able to be such in his own zone, which I think he enjoyed. It was super intense and kind of amazing.
Maybe you got trained by David Blaine.
Just be up there in a box.
You'd be good for like 10 hours. It's fine.
Not in a box. It was a metal platform that he definitely was hooked into because God forbid something happens. And he was literally just out of reach. Like if teenage boys were like jumping up trying to grab the cage, you couldn't really. It was very cool. I think that was the tour that did not go all the way through.
Oh, yeah. That was the one where he stopped fairly early because he was having trouble, like a breakdown
I will go back to when I originally saw it. I thought, how do you do this? It's like 2 hours of just relentlessly no water, no bathroom, no break. And, and also not really interacting with anybody else. When you have band members, I'd seen him do another concert where there was this kind of mountain behind him and he had semi-dancers. They didn't do a lot of movement, but they would move throughout the stage, background performers, as you would say. So there were other people on stage with him. So I thought, gosh, this is in a weird way, probably very taxing.
Oh, yeah.
And you're also, because you're raised above, all this energy is coming up to you, not at you, which is a very, I think, probably energy flow. So yeah, but like I said, I've seen him perform a few times and very impressive. But, I also was there in the times when it would be like, okay, this is a 20-minute stop speech in the middle of it. You're like, what is happening? But, he is an iconic performer.
Unique.
Yeah, he's very unique. So, and I think that in Mark and I, oh my gosh, I do just say music is not your thing, but I've definitely gone to a lot of concerts that the type of music is necessarily not my thing, but I'm going because I like to go to everything I'm invited to.
Yeah. Well, you like a performance too. You're interested in people doing stuff.
I rarely turn down invitations.
Well, that's true too.
So Mark, when we were dating, called me up and said, oh, hey, I want to take you to this concert. It's one of my favorite bands, Rush. Now,
wow. Okay.
Rush was for sure not one of.
That's not going to be
I'm
your
laughing
thing.
because of I Love You, Man.
Yes, exactly. So Rush was not a band that our older brothers, the music we were exposed to. I was not a band I knew. And it wasn't even something that when I was in the car with Mark or we were dating, he often played. So except for like Tom Sawyer, some of their huge hits.
Tom Sawyer.
Yeah, well, I don't know some of their music. But, we're dating and I'm like, yeah, okay. I mean, holy moly. Rush.
Where was it?
I think it was in San Diego. He's going to school in San Diego.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
And I think that, he would know for sure, but I feel like it was in San Diego. And it was one of those things, in the end, it was like, wow, it probably would have been better. Because that's the other thing. It's like, who do you go to the concert with?
Right.
Are they an equal fan of the music?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Will they have the same vibe, enjoy it at the same level as you?
Possibly even have a better time than you.
Right.
You never quite know who you're bringing with you if you haven't gone to a concert with someone before.
And I felt like Rush was one of those things looking back. It's like, yeah, I might not have been the best choice. Because it's not like a, sit with your arms around your girlfriend or make out with her during it or even dance, really. It's like, you're trying to do the air drums and I'm like, what is happening? And there's so many
should've gone with your
guys.
buddies, yeah.
There's so many guys around you. You're just, there's not a lot of women. So, but, Rush is an amazing musical, their musicality is amazing. So you're like, okay. But I mean, that was one of those date ones. You're like,
I don't know if that was the perfect choice.
yeah, I mean, listen, date-wise, I remember bringing a guy that I totally liked to a concert because I was like, I'm going to bring him to this concert, this band I know he loves. This is sometime early college years. So Mark and I were sort of dating, but I don't think we were necessarily exclusive. And it so did not work. I was so irritated about these tickets with this guy. But I would go into Hollywood, into the Troubadour, because I had a couple friends. That same guy was in a band, and I had a huge crush on him. I'm not going to say the band or his name.
Smart.
Because I'm still bitter. No, not just joking. But yeah, we would go into Hollywood. Heather's siblings, like I said, Jim, was like or in a rock band, heavy metal. And her older sister Kathy, loved to go to those type of clubs. So as soon as we were of any age, like 18, we could get into the Roxy.
The Roxy, right?
There's the strip in Hollywood. The Roxy still exists. The Troubadour is still there.
The Whiskey A Go Go.
The Whiskey A Go Go. And also, I think just closed, which is a real bummer. The club owned by, right in the news today, Johnny Depp. The
Viper Room?
John, yes, the Viper Room. That was on Hollywood Boulevard. Did you ever go there, Ed?
Yeah, I've been to the Viper Room.
But
a
I
couple
think it
different times.
just closed, or it's announcing it's closing, which is kind of crazy. But that is an iconic for sad reasons as well as live acts that would play there. That's where River Phoenix basically walked out and died on the street right in front of the club. But that was there for like 20 plus years.
We're saying River Phoenix, so that's like 90s.
Yeah.
That's like 30 years because it was up and running well before he went there. I'm pretty sure William went there.
Yeah,
What?
no,
The
you
The Viper
did.
Room.
Wow.
Yeah,
so
you
that's
did.
like 40 years that had been there.
I remember going
It was,
to
Hollywood icon almost.
I remember going to the Viper Room. I was seeing some band. I don't remember who the band was. But I was like, oh, it was way before The Big Lebowski. But I was like, I would like a White Russian.
Oh, no.
Now,
Sure.
let me just tell you, you do not order that at a nightclub because the chances that the cream is fresh,
Well,
it's not.
not at that spot. Like if you were going to the right place, you could definitely get that.
Oh,
like,
yeah,
I
sure.
went to a couple spots, Ace of Spades, and I cannot remember the name of the place that Elaine and Marty played back in the day when Swingers was around. I would go see them.
The Derby.
At, it was either the Brown Derby or the Hot Potato or any one of those little jazz
Is Hot
clubs.
Potato still there?
I think it's baked potato.
Baked potato, same thing.
Hot potato.
Yeah, that I definitely remember going to those little clubs back in the days and seeing them play for sure.
And you'd get a White Russian there?
That was the vibe. That was 100%
Wait, did
the
you
energy.
drink White Russians?
I drank everything back in the day.
White Russians
slowed
are a
down a
very
lot.
ballsy move because
Oh,
it's
yeah.
like dairy to start your night off with. And like I said,
But it's a sweet drink. I understand.
Get
like,
some protein. Come on.
it calms it down a
a
little
lot
bit.
of calories though.
Oh, yeah.
But I remember ordering at the Viper Room. That's one of my stand-up memories, the Viper Room, ordering it and looking down. I'm like, I think that's curdled. Like,
Ew.
I was like, I don't think
But the alcohol will kill any germs.
I don't think I can go for that. So no, that might have been the last White Russian I ever had. Thanks,
Wait,
Viper Room. You
Is
ruined
White
it.
Russian, it's,
Kahlua and cream, basically.
there's no vodka in it?
Oh, because
'cause
the Russian, yes.
I think it's the vodka. Because a black Russian is no cream. It's just vodka and Kahlua. I used to drink those.
Katherine, well, it's so funny.
So
'cause she
surprised you with her
doesn't
alcohol
drink
knowledge.
really now, but she did at some point, so she knows these things. It's crazy.
Oh no, the greatest thing ever was like the first time we were at some sort of adult event where Katherine was, old enough, so it didn't have to be sneaky. It was like, oh no, I'm
gonna have a drink.
I'm gonna have a drink in front of mom and dad. And I was like, woo! All of us were drinking at that point, but like, you're gonna have a drink. And I even remember what you were wearing. Oh my god!
What? Really?
Yes, it was like a rust-colored satin skirt from Nordstrom's. I was so jealous of
Ew.
it. And I think a cream top, and your hair was very like new wave swooped over.
Oh, sounds good.
And I think you got your
I love Southern Comfort.
Southern
yes,
Comfort
your
on the
Southern
rocks.
Comfort and Southern Comfort on the rocks.
I like Southern Comfort on the rocks with a lime to kind of just.
Southern Comfort on the rocks with a lime. And in my head, all I can think of is I like sweet vermouth on the rocks with a twist. Woo! It's a world peace.
What is that?
It's from Groundhog Day.
Yeah.
Wait, is that Chris Elliott?
No, that is what
Andy McDowell? Or
what Andy McDowell orders that then Bill Murray tries to sidle in on, and I
He's
gotta
like,
tell you,
"Yuck, that's
he has
terrible."
got the proper reaction the first time he gets that.
Well, it was very
I
impressive.
did go through, I will
Yeah.
say, just on the topic of alcohol, I did go through a martini phase. That was
What kind of
I feel like
martini?
you were willing to try all these things. You're like, all right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gin with a twist. So like a lemon twist around the, and then also in like a low carb phase that I did, this was like 20 years ago or whatever, I would order what I called a toxic lemonade, which was basically like vodka on the rocks with lemon or lime, didn't matter. And then I'd put some kind of like Sweet and Low or something in it. I mean, come on.
So you're gonna try things that you make up, apparently.
100%.
Still doing it. Great.
I would totally drink that today.
You were like ahead of your time with the skinny girl cocktails. Oh,
kind of. That was my move. Yeah.
You were you leaned toward the stronger beverages. Where I remember taking a sip of your Southern Comfort, and I was like,
Which is not a good idea because I also drink really fast. I'm just drinking it because it's like something to do, and you just keep drinking it, and then it's gone, and then maybe you need another one. It's like, okay, that is a very bad way to do that. Get something that is bigger.
Out.
Like what? Yeah.
Yeah, you gotta pace it out. No, I don't know if I've ever been to big. I've been Coachella adjacent a few times where
Sure.
I've had to be there during Coachella.
At the house. That someone's
At the house, at an event, at a party. Dipped in and out for one thing, but I've never been there for like the whole festival. There were reggae festivals for sure that Rosie and I.
Topanga Days.
Well, no, those aren't.
Memorial Day.
Oh,
Yeah.
Is Topanga Days music oriented? I thought it was like
Yeah,
little
it was this
shops
past
and
weekend.
stuff.
Somewhat, yeah. I mean, I feel like it's maybe changed over the years, but
I thought it was
and
more like an artsy festival.
I think it's everything.
I think it's
It is.
both. Yeah.
I think part of the deal is that they have a live stage and multiple acts perform throughout the day. I know that I've gone because a friend of mine, Angel Rogero, and her mother, I think, was playing. Or like we
that's
went
cool.
because we got to see this band Venice. That's a local band from Venice that we both enjoy.
Oh,
it's like
yeah.
it's a good time musical act. We like them.
But
All
sometimes
right.
I think it's, it boils down to, do you like live music or not? Can your ears handle it? And, depending on the scope of it, the logistics, because yours sounds like, just to get there, to get in, to get out,
to get a hotel room.
I mean, now I can't, I'd be more into the EDC because I could not be at a concert all day that was just beating sun on me.
Oh yeah.
what's
yeah.
EDC?
You're
Electric
into an
Daisy
overnight
Carnival.
dancing
Oh,
concert,
okay.
maybe not as
I
late.
got confused.
But yeah, but it's intricate and complicated. Like I'll say this: the super jealous FOMO level that you get when you're like, it's so late. I'm gonna walk to the car, wait for my ride. We got a whole long ass, and then you see a helicopter flying away. You're like, you sons of bitches! They're rich. You just fly in, fly out. Or like if you're, one of the top tier DJs, that's part of the package that they fly you in.
Oh, yeah.
You don't
That
have to
makes
be there the
sense.
entire time. You do your set, and they'll just like you and your wife
And
can
you're
fly
out.
back to Germany.
Well, yeah.
Well, fine.
Sure.
Coachella is similar with their artist pass. VIP is poo-poo. No one even wants an VIP pass anymore. They want artist pass. So you're like, oh, yeah, Vaz.
Oh goodness.
And who I referenced to before I used to work for, that was, it's just going to make sure we had enough of the passes and the access and the security. It sounded so arduous. I'd be like, okay. The few times I had to be, like I said, adjacent. You're like, this is a lot of work. So, but I still love to go see live music, even concerts in the park where it's, a knockoff band, like,
Oh, like doing covers or whatever.
yeah.
The right up the street from our
Elton
mom's
Juan,
house.
I saw recently, which I really loved.
Which is what?
Well, Elton John, but he was Spanish, so
A little light pronouncing Elton Juan.
Yeah.
There you go.
But I there's a Diamond Forever that is an awesome band that
you know
does
what?
Neil Diamond covers. Incredible.
Not at the concert of the park, but and a little bit back in our storyline at the Viper Room. I think the last band that I went and saw at the Viper Room was an all-female Guns N' Roses tribute band.
Oh,
they're
wow.
awesome, by the way.
Oh, that's cool.
But yeah, like you get invited to someone that knows someone that's playing at the Viper Room, you're like, I will show support. That sounds fun.
Yeah, and I don't feel like the times I would go to concerts as a kid, it wasn't as if mom and dad, this is, there were no cell phones or even pagers. You were gone. Mm-hmm. So, and there were big concerts I went to. Gosh, what were they called?
Concerts.
No, it wasn't the Live Aid ones. There was a big festival at Dodger Stadium. It's going to drive me crazy, but U2 would play at it. Sting. It was incredible. It was all day. And I remember going to
World Aid,
maybe.
Band Aid.
No,
That-
there
no,
was
that was a
Band-Aid.
band. I know,
Band-Aid
I
was
know.
a
I'm like,
thing, yeah.
you might be right. Oh, Amnesty International concerts.
Oh.
Yeah, and they'd have incredible acts, and it was an all-day festival. But unlike yours, where it's multiple stages, it was the main stage, and there would be changing out in between. And I would gotta believe they filled the time with the DJ in between, but who even knows back then? I don't know. But
That's just the organ player.
and our sister Virginia Rosie was a big Deadhead, which is so shocking. I think she recently just went to go see either Fish or something. A band.
Really?
with Jack, her son. Yeah,
Well, she does like reggae for sure.
Rosie still
Isn't that
likes
right?
live music. Yeah. Oh yeah, we were very much. I mean,
Well-
listen, I sang backup in a reggae band in Santa Barbara, the Three Little Birds.
Oh my
Wait a
God.
minute, what?
Wasn't
This is a
also,
common knowledge?
No,
wasn't
I
Jack
don't know
in
that.
a band as a bass player at the high school for years. So
yes.
there was like years where he was performing, and then also Sugar Ray was up after him or whatever. Yeah.
Yes, he would open for Sugar Ray, who I just saw in concert at that festival.
Oh, nice.
You mean that carnival? It's like
Carnival.
a school
It's
carnival.
not exactly the carnival to your level, Ed. It's
the analog.
It's definitely carnival versus carnival. It's just a neighborhood church, but they have amazing acts because it's in Studio City where all these rock musicians are kind of
And they have kids in the school or whatever.
right. But what was I just going to say about? Oh, so yes. I mean, I don't need to go into how I sing backup in a reggae band, but Ed, you bring up Jack. The musician in our family, gosh, who looks like our brother William. He was actually at the House of Blues performing with his School of Rock.
Oh,
there you go.
really?
Right.
So
School
that
of
was
Rock.
the first concert I ever took, I think, Ethan to. It was like a live venue.
Oh, that's cool.
And he loved it. But of course, he, there's an element of Ethan that he'll lean right into the complaint category.
Oh, gosh.
So I should have brought earplugs or cotton for his ears because he still go like, it's too loud live music. Because his cousin, Oliver Roman, is an amazing musician and plays live all over the city all the time. And his music is not like heavy metal or like heavy rock. And we brought Ethan when he was younger to 2 shows. And, he'd walk out like, my ears rang for 2 days afterwards.
Oh, my.
Now, I'm curious. I always lean into the mom, the mom logic. I just go, well, your ears were young and they were not developed. If we take you now to live music,
wow.
it might be okay. It wouldn't buzz as much and we could get earplugs for you and it would help. Because I'm like, listen, dude, you could not listen to live music. This will, your dad and I enjoy this.
The Prince and the Pea, it just might work out that way.
Liz, you've almost got it. I think he needs to learn the benefit of playing the guitar and singing. That way you can control the volume and then it's never too loud. And just like he likes to entertain with his stories, that's gonna hook him up in the next 20 years of him
True.
trying to be entertaining.
True, possibly. I mean, he does like to sing, so it's a
Gets
mystery.
3 bass chords and he's good to go, man.
Well, he did. There was a summer, I think it was 2 or 3 summers ago, because we have instruments in the house. Him and his friends were going to form a band together.
Oh.
And there was a couple days in a row that I let the loudness in the house just
Ay, ay,
happen.
ay.
Nothing sounded like anything, but we thought for sure, this is the start of our own, rock band in the future.
Well, yeah, I mean, we've talked recently about the quote-unquote guitar lessons, but wasn't there also, he was visiting someone who had drums or something, like a long time ago?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, okay. All right.
And he had his own baby drum set that was like a legit drum set, just scaled way down. And he was pretty good at it. But, you understand tiger moms, is that what they're called? Where it's like if you want your kid to hyper focus or really be good at something, it takes a parent to push them.
Yeah, there's a lot of wrangling.
And push them through the resistance.
Yeah, it's
Because
unlikely that
How
they'll
did
just
any
motivate
of us
to do
become good at anything then? Because we did not have the push through parents.
it. Not at all.
Well, are we? No, extraordinarily average. I don't know.
On us.
Yeah, I'm
Excellent.
like,
Let's
I
wrap the
don't
podcast
know. But yeah, it's like, no one's a concert pianist. I mean,
No.
And we had a piano downstairs, and Rosie was the only one who took piano lessons.
And she hated it, didn't she?
And we had a great piano teacher that lived with us for a little bit.
I know. I mean, I could have
So
been.
Ethan is following in the footsteps, apparently.
Yes. I mean, listen, if the recorder was part
Oh,
of
God.
It could have been, and you could also transfer to another wind
it could have been
instrument.
you who killed my dream of
No.
being recorder
Yourself.
artist.
You.
Catherine.
Yourself.
Okay, this is really off topic, but it is instrumental.
It's one of your favorite.
and
yeah.
it is music related. And it really, I think, squashed my. There's 4 people that squashed my musical dreams, but we'll just zero it on Katherine on this one.
Here's the thing about those musical dreams being squashed. It sounds like you made a great wine from it. So go ahead.
Okay. So, Mom, usually at Christmas time, there were a couple instruments, but small ones. Someone would get a harmonica. Someone would get, a little like teeny keyboard. She wasn't encouraging loud music in the house. And also the music that we play in the house is very John Denver and Simon and Garfunkel. Yeah. And we're talking records. And so when you would go to play a record, it was Mom and Dad's, collection, which was not extensive, but, so that's sort of, it leaned a little more folky, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So I got a recorder for Christmas one year, but we're talking like maybe 6th grade, because Katherine and I were sharing rooms with, only really happened one time in history. We were not the right blend.
We were a little bit oil and water. Yeah.
I mean,
I was like, oil and vinegar, that's a salad dressing. I don't know.
I'm not wrong, but the whole gimmick of the recorder is it's a cheap entry point. It's not like there's an entire orchestra of recorders anywhere playing that people enjoy the sound of that tweet. It is the low entry point. It's like, I'm not buying you $100 guitar. I'm buying you this $12 piece of plastic.
Well,
enjoy.
That's all.
I think it's 3rd grade.
Yeah, I was going to say they do it in public school for sure. And I think it's to get you to look at music and try and read music and see if that's of interest for you.
And then there's a recorder concert that you as a parent, if you go to, you should wear earplugs. But, it exists. So I probably was around the 6th grade. I got it for Christmas. And Katherine was probably in the 8th grade. I think we were sharing a room at this point, which is 2 twin beds. And she hated the sound of the recorder.
Well, you also would purposefully torture me.
Right. Because also when I know something is, really hitting a chord with somebody, pun intended.
Of irritation.
Right. I will lean into it.
Oh, yeah. Now,
the problem is I'm not good at leaning into it because I'll start laughing. So then the recorder's like I'm laughing, trying to get the note out of the recorder, which then Katherine would want to take the recorder and beat me.
And then, of course, she's like, but no, I have to practice.
So I decided to really take the torture to another level one time because lights out, good night, we're going to sleep.
Oh, God.
And I stay awake, and you can always sense when, the energy has changed in the room. And it was like, okay, Katherine is really... well, close that. You can tell she's about to go sleep, and I'm like... So I'm trying to get a couple notes out of the recorder, which I managed to get a couple... And she's like, I'm going to kill you. So I think she came over and wrestled me to the bed and got it away from
We were actually pretty violent with each other as kids.
I do think
sure.
I think she did semi-beat me, but I was laughing. And of course, no one came and told me.
No, nobody was interrupting. No.
As a younger sibling, I can attest to at some point, you end up helping clean up a room, getting hired into some process, and you're like, what is this one part of the recorder?
Ed, are you blowing the whole story? All right, people. All right, hold on.
I don't get it, so it's definitely not blown.
Right. Okay, so basically, Katherine's now beat me and she's like, go to sleep. I'm like, okay, fine. But I can't stop there. So once again, the lights are out and she's just about to go to sleep. I decide to slowly get out of my bed, crawl across the floor on the ground, and I get right up next to her. I think I have a concussion from the recorder being beaten over my head. Now, the next day...
Well, hold on. Let me just interrupt for 1 second.
Yes, of course.
I remember this as 2 different things. You torturing me with the recorder is separate from you sneaking across the room and scaring the shit out of me.
No, that was new.
By just
that was
yelling
both.
In my face.
That was both. That was
okay.
That was a regular occurrence.
I thought these were 2 different things.
No, the recorder night was a doubling down in bed.
You're
and
such
then
a jerk.
out of bed. So then the next morning I wake up feeling very good about myself, feeling really accomplished as the little shit sister. And I walk into the bathroom and I'm like, what? Now, the one thing you don't know about a recorder is it's pieces that you because it's so small, but make it more compact to travel and irritate people. So you can
it comes apart in 3 pieces for sure. Mm-hmm.
So just the mouthpiece is on the bathroom counter with a note that says, "You'll never find all the pieces of this ever again. Your dreams are dead," or something. Like, so evil.
How is it possible that we ever lost stuff in that house? We totally did. Like, you could hide something for eternity in that house and you'd never find it for some reason.
And I guarantee you, I kept that note somewhere. Another thing I think I need to find, John, like the B-52's t-shirt.
You should find it because I don't think
so. That was
that
what Ed was alluding to. That Katherine literally took it apart, hid the 2 other pieces. First of all, just throw them away. But no, it's
Maybe
more
I did.
maniacal to just hide the 2 other pieces somewhere in the house. So yes, Ed, years later, you might be helping clean out a room for $5,
and find them.
and one piece of reporters turned up.
That's what inspires like a Steven Spielberg to write a movie where he's like, oh yeah, actually when I was a kid, I had to find the 3 pieces of the recorder to put it back together, and then when I finally played it, I irritated the shit out of myself.
It was a magical recorder.
It was a
that
magical
opened
recorder
another
which
dimension,
ruined her life.
and opened another
Yes.
dimension with its irritating tones.
Yeah.
No, I mean, so I've always liked music. I love musicians. I love going to see them. I still do. I just recently went to the Foo Fighters movie that came out.
Oh, right.
Right around Halloween, October. We talked about it on our other podcast, What We Are Watching.
Yep.
Studio 666.
Yep. Which I thought was a hoot, especially if you're a boy of a certain age, it hits right in your demographic. And afterwards, they had an after party. And it was at a venue that had a stage, and they did basically a concert. And because it had been COVID, they hadn't really performed in a while. So it was like an 1.5-hour concert.
Wow.
And I remember the group we came with at one point, he said, all right, because we were in the VIP section getting food and drinks and this and that. And they go, all right, well, we're ready to go. I'm like, and Mark turns to me, because it was a school night, a work night. And he turns to me and goes, they're so freaking awesome. I don't really want to leave. And I'll go, yeah, we're not leaving. So our friends were so like surprised, like, your guys are going to stay? I said, yeah, it's the freaking Foo Fighters. They're killing it. And I mean, why would we leave? We'll just take an Uber home. And I'm so happy I did, because the last basically song they did was Taylor Hawkins, rest his soul, sweet guy that I got to know through some mutual friends, the Heckers, did one of the Queen songs that he loves.
Oh, wow.
So Dave Grohl got on the drums and Taylor came up on the mic. And the Queen song, it was like somebody to love me, which is, kind of ironic, because he was so, I mean, if he did not feel loved, my God, I mean, he, his spirit should feel buoyant up to heaven with the love that he's been given after his passing. And so I'm so happy that was one of my last live concerts that I went to recently, and that also it was them.
Yeah.
So I love live music. I mean, I love going to it. Like I said, we weren't really raised with it in a way, but I'm hoping I can get Ethan to
Embrace
it at some point, somehow. Because there was something we just talked about. Mark and I went and saw live music, and I don't even remember now. I mean, we go often enough. We were somewhere. There's something in our area called the Canyon Club. And actually, if you're under 18 but with an adult, you can go see live music, and they do tons of tribute bands. And I think Queen, which my son loves, or it's an Elton John, like someone he loves, a tribute band's going to come play. And we said, we'll bring you, and he's like, I don't know.
Oh,
you know how I feel about live music. I'm like, I can't. I mean, then then he'll go off on about his theories, and you're just like, oh God. I mean, it's enjoyable to hear his theories that they're so solid at 13 years old.
Oh, they won't change. They'll be solid forever.
Okay, all right. But what was the best concert? Or John, do you go to see live music? You chimed in a lot here.
Yeah, no, I didn't. Not a ton. I've been thinking about it as you guys have been discussing this. I don't know. It's probably. Look, it's confused because if you think about like the big concerts of name acts, that's less than 10. But then, sort of local bands or, people that or whatever, then it gets, there's another, 15 or 20. So not really that much.
Unless it's, of course, it's like an actual coworker, and then you saw the Dead Ships how many times?
Yeah, I mean, I was including that. I mean, yeah, it seems like I went 30 times, but I probably only went 10 times. They were great.
What's their name?
Well, the band is named the Dead Ships.
Okay.
Chris and Devlin. And then, unfortunately, and I don't know if I ever saw the third member, they added a bassist, which I thought was unnecessary. But whatever. Look, it's one of those things. I have a bad ear in a way, or eye as well, and I'm very used to whatever I'm getting. So it's like, oh, I'm used to this singer, guitarist, and drummer. Sounds great. Yeah, well, that's almost all bands have more than that. Or, especially if you're listening to actually released, recorded music, it's doubled and tripled, and who knows how much it's got on there. So, yeah, I didn't need it. But then if you add it, it's like, oh, well, yes, I recognize that makes sense now, but I didn't need it. Anyway, I believe they're still going. I think they've kind of taken different breaks or whatever, because when they were working together, and, then it was a lot easier to just always play. And I think one of them has moved out of the city, so... Anyway, they were a super fun rock band. So they were working with us, every day, and then we'd hear about, oh, we're playing this show and that show. And so a lot of us would go, and it was super fun.
Yeah,
it is interesting.
Local small venues, and those are like exciting to go check out a band because you're like 50 feet away from the band.
Right.
They did play at one big place once. Otherwise, it was small venues. Oh, that's right. I think that might have been. I've maybe never been to a music festival, but they did play one, and I went to their part of it and then left.
What? Well,
that's stuff to do. Can't be hanging around.
Yeah, I mean,
people I don't know.
There is that whole thing of going to see live music because it's someone you know. Which, if I think of that category for myself, holy moly!
Oh yeah,
because I have multiple friends who are musicians. My husband's best friend, Mark Harris. I can't even tell you how many times I've been to his live performances, which is one of my favorite things when he ends doing Get On Up by James Brown. It can last like 15 minutes. Like, I don't know if he knows how to wrap it up, but it's awesome. But then he plays his own original music. My girlfriend, Michelle Wolf, has been part of numerous bands over the years. I think the last time I just saw her perform live, well, one was in like a Malibu, very exclusive, like park vibe. But then Troubadour, I saw her perform with somebody at the Troubadour. And then Next Generation, I mentioned him, Oliver Roman, our cousin, amazing musician. He actually works for Dave Grohl in his recording studio. So the weird small synergy. And those that don't know, Taylor Hawkins' first name is actually Oliver. So he knew Oliver. So even when I met him, there was all this sort of crossover that was interesting. But he plays with Allie Angel, who is some of my best friend's daughter. So that was actually probably the last in some sort of club in Hollywood. And I had a moment where it's like, God, I remember seeing you sing karaoke at our friend Heather's house as like a 4-year-old and thinking, oh, she has a very interesting voice. And here she is, fabulous voice, writes her own music.
Oh, wow.
Plays instruments. Full circle moment. You're like, wow, first of all, you feel old, but super impressed. And so I do think there's also those live music elements that you go to because you know somebody and you're going to see them perform live music, which can, like be super enjoyable like that and surprise you and entertain you. And other times you're like, oh, this is really not my vibe. Because I'll bring it real full circle. One of the last times I saw, I said the first concert I went to was Stone Soldier. Heather and I went to go see him. Her brother Jim, he'd formed a new band where he was called the Ice Cooler, which he had somehow transferred into rap.
What?
It was alarming.
Oh, no.
And that is one of those ones you walk out of the live performance and you just, wow, that was loud. Wow, that was super impressive. Better good.
Ice Cooler.
Yeah. So, I mean, like I said, I've seen so in this family, I guess, or in this group of 4, Ed and I are the real live music.
I did forget one very impressive live show that I went and saw. Eric, for one of his birthdays, wanted to do something exciting. He sets up for us to go and see Celine Dion.
Oh.
In her residency in Las Vegas.
I went to that too.
Yeah. I am not the right person to take to see Celine Dion. I mean, like...
That was like her Cirque du Soleil combination.
I mean, again, I hate to out myself. I am not a Cirque du Soleil fan. I hate all the bendiness. I hate unitards. I couldn't...
But is it because of nervousness?
You hate unitards.
No, it's just the whole thing makes me so uncomfortable and it's so weird and I don't like it.
Why?
I don't know. First, I don't like things where you don't know when it's going to end
because there's no disbelief,
narrative,
yeah.
like what is happening.
There's always a narrative.
You don't
just
make sense is the answer
That's
to this question.
true.
I just can't believe your French Canadian couture side does not
It did
overtake
not.
you because the Quebec.
Her nervous Nelly side takes over.
Because
No,
you know,
this was just, it was absolutely so much like Cirque du Soleil
Yeah.
and a live concert. It was like, this is not
that was
for
her
me.
whole plan. I loved it.
It was, but I did very
It
much
was a
like,
Titanic disaster
oh
for
God.
you.
But I mean, like, look, all of the songs are super recognizable because even though I don't really listen to music, you know all of them. So you're like, okay, it was so many old people. It was just like, here we are. You know, we were pretty young. It was like, this is weird. Why are we here? And he had done this. I mean,
So you flew into Vegas, and this is how you're going to spend the evening.
and the kids were little. I don't
You
even.
left your kids for this?
Yeah, I mean, he was like, we're going to do it up. We're going
This is such a big adventure for you.
It was
two.
hysterical because it was also the same day as somebody's wedding from work. So I had to like leave from this wedding. He had booked us. Oh God, this is so ridiculous. First class on Southwest.
Doesn't
which
even exist
is not
anymore.
real. I mean, it was like we were sitting in the front row across from the stewardess who was facing us.
No,
It was horrendous.
No. So you guys couldn't make out or anything.
No. And he, you know, he had tried so hard to be like, this is going to be fancy. And so it was first class on Southwest, total disaster. A car that's picking us up.
Oh my God.
So, and it's some old guy with a sign and literally get in his like, you know, Lincoln that smells like smoke because he's a smoker. He did not smoke while we were in it, but he also never put on his seatbelt. So the entire ride, ding, ding, ding,
Classic.
ding. Because his seatbelt is telling him, like, you don't have your seatbelt on. Put your seatbelt on. So we're in this back seat of this Lincoln going like, what the, this is like, and it's supposed to be fancy. So we get to
what hotel?
Caesar's Palace, maybe?
Yes, I think that's where she had her concert.
Okay.
So you probably stayed there.
So, no, we didn't spend the night. This was an in and out. It was horrendous.
They were high class in it.
It was.
Okay.
So we get there, and at this point now, my feet are killing me because I had to go to that wedding before, and I had not changed, and,
and
it was
your
like
feet probably swelled up on your
oh
Southwest
yeah,
flight.
on that quick up and down flight. And Eric, who is notoriously early, we get into this hotel or into Caesar's Palace or whatever, and he's like, we got to get there like now. So we're like practically running through this hotel,
which is huge.
which there's no reason to be early. Like, what? I was starving. We got like a slice of pizza from some weird restaurant. Like, oh my God. And then we get in there. You had to wait in line now because we're early because they're not letting us in. Oh my God. We get in there, and literally this is when I'm like, oh my God, we are like really out of place. This whole show is so Cirque du Soleil, I can barely even handle it. I was very interested in the giant screen behind her.
Huge,
because
yeah.
that was like the first time I'd ever seen that. But there was like weird Cirque du Soleil floating things and bendy people doing all sorts of weird stuff. I was like, this is so strange. But I liked when she would like, sit down and let me talk to the crowd because she needed a little break. And like, oh, and her doing her crowd work and blah, 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 blah. And you're like, oh
One
my
of my
God,
favorite
this is so
when
weird.
she did that, she sat down. She's like, hello.
Yeah.
Do you love children? I love children. Don't we all love children? And everybody's like, yes, Celine, yes.
I mean, so much padding.
And
What's
it was
going
like,
on?
oh,
With a little bit of mustard, maybe some mayonnaise.
no growth. But I mean, it was always so sincere. It was like, do you have a love? Do you have a love of your life?
Oh my.
My Renee. And you're like, oh my God.
I can't even.
And she'd take her moments, and then there'd be like two people. She'd be saying this, and then like two, Katherine was like, from each side of the stage, like a woman and a male dancer would like slowly
Come
start
out and
walking
dance? Oh,
toward
no.
each other and representing the Renee and Celine love
Oh,
story
my
behind
God.
her. And you're like, now I was all in with like two people that were so like huge Celine fans, so it was like infectious. But I spent the night, so I was a little
Well, that's a little
smarter.
bit better.
I mean, I didn't even think there was a late enough flight out of Vegas for you to come home first class. I mean, they got smart. I don't think there's any more commercial flights after like 10 p.m. So you could not have gotten home.
Oh no, I'm sure we saw like the 6 o'clock show or something, and then we're back at like 10:15. No, I don't know.
Oh.
Eric might remember, but
This
it was
is why you're turned off to live music.
it was ridiculous. But yeah, he was like, that was not what I was hoping. I felt bad because he really wanted to like do it up. Ironically, I think the reason he wanted to do it up is because that same year, because his birthday is a little bit after yours. Yours is October, his is November.
Right.
You and Mark had like gone to New York for your birthday, and he was like, I want to do something fancy. And this is what we did. We went and saw Celine Dion.
It goes back to what I said, the EDC. It's like, you got it when you're going to go see live music. It's like there is effort, there is energy, and it's like, the logistics sometimes can be where people go, forget it. So, I get it, but I
only
love
do it if it's really your scene.
Yeah.
Like, that's the other thing. It's not going to just magically be like, ooh, I love this just because you are going.
Like, the EDC sounds like fun for me for like one night.
Yeah, for sure. It is.
I don't think I could handle multiple nights of it.
It's less about the single night experience because it's going to be more or less the same thing the next night. Then it's like, okay, what's the difference between these nights? This whole set of DJs has a different vibe on that stage. The next night, it's a different vibe on that stage. Same stage, same styles of music, but the DJ's talent or the production level or the songs that you're familiar with. So you end up going all those days because it is just, you already paid for the dang ticket, so forget it. Just friggin' go. Like, at that point, you're there. I just go, I got to ride there. I got to ride back. It's going to be irritating to get to my ride, and I'm going to have to leave a couple hours early. Fine. I'm doing it.
But it goes to art is worth it. You have to put in energy and effort to make it, happen. So, well, I'm happy you got back all right, Ed.
Woohoo.
So,
yeah.
Thank you for listening to this Family Dynamics episode. Please remember to like at all of our handles at Family Dynamics with a K. Subscribe, leave comments.
Recommend to family and friends.
Please, we have a Patreon that we'd love you to
become patrons.
Yes. So thank you once again for listening to
Family Dynamics.